Welcome to the channel. My name is Timmy Smalls, and in this video I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I believe shooting landscapes can greatly help you as a beginner photographer. Now, my photography journey began in 2011 when I received a Canon 600D for my 30th birthday, and at that time I did not want to take one photo of anything else but my sneaker collection. And at the time I had about 100 pairs of sneakers, including Jordans, Nikes, Asics, New Balance, and a lot more. But one day I took a drive up to my local mountain range called Mount Dandenong, and at the top of Mount Dandenong is a beautiful panoramic lookout where you can see the whole of Melbourne Metro and beyond. And I took this one photograph here. Now, this isn't a particularly interesting or good photograph, but it instilled something in me where after that photograph I became absolutely obsessed with landscape photography, and I spent all of my time learning the craft and learning the settings and just diving into that world. And at the time I didn't have kids and I think I was single, so I really could just really get engrossed into that world. And so I would take trips down to Cape Schanck or down to the coast where I would photograph the sunset, and then I would go and sleep in my car for a few hours, wake up and photograph the stars, do some astrophotograaphy. Then I'd go back to my car. Mind you, I'm sleeping in the front of my single cab Triton ute, which was very uncomfortable. And then I'd wake up at sunrise and I'd photograph that, and I'd come away with 3 to 4 different scenes. So I was very dedicated and pretty much obsessed. So the first reason why I believe shooting landscapes can help you as a beginner photographer, because it forces you to learn about composition. So I remember the first time I put a Canon 50mm, the Nifty 50 lens onto my 600D, which had an equivalent full frame focal length of about 85mm, which is a great focal length for portraits. So I took a photo of a family friend and blew out the background, and I thought I was a professional, like best photographer in the world, this looks amazing. But little did I know that just blurring out the background does not make you a great photographer. So with landscapes, we're typically shooting at f5.6 up to f11, even a bit tighter, potentially up to f16 or even beyond. And in those apertures, that makes everything in the scene in focus, depending on what camera you have. So you've really got to think about what you put in this frame. Do you make it busy? Do you make it minimalistic? Where is the horizon going to be? Is the sky looking great? Maybe you want to put 2/3 of the sky in. Is the foreground looking amazing? Do you want to maybe put 2/3 of the foreground in? Landscape photography really pushes you to learn composition pretty quickly, and especially when we're using wide angle lenses, 15, 16 millimeters, there's a lot of information that can go into this one photograph. So it can be quite difficult to compose a photograph because there might just be too much in it. It might just be a jumbled mess, or sometimes you might have to just angle the camera a different way to reach a different composition. But really playing around with landscape composition can absolutely help you in other styles of photography too, which I'll touch on a bit later. So that's the first reason. It really helps you with composition. So the second reason why I believe shooting landscapes can help you as a beginner photographer is because it makes you slow down. Typically, as a landscape photographer, we have our camera on a tripod and it's locked off, and we can just play around with the settings, get to know your camera. It's a perfect time. There's no rush to take a million photographs. In fact, when I used to go on landscape photography missions, all I would want is just one photograph to come home with. I didn't want 50. If I came home with 2 or 3, great, but I really just wanted to focus on one photograph. So once you have your composition right, then you can play around with the settings, especially the shutter speed, because in landscape photography, shutter speed can have a great effect on the outcome of the photo. Let's look at a seascape where we are photographing waves coming in. Now, if you use my favorite shutter speed for waves is about 1 second. It just gives this great element of motion to the waves, or sometimes you might want to use 2/50th of a second or 500 to really freeze the wave in mid-motion. Or you might want to just focus on the wave by lowering your aperture to maybe f4. But typically landscape photography is in high number aperture. So it really makes you slow down and gives you time to learn your camera. You know, once you've been shooting landscapes for a while, you could be looking at the scene and you don't have to think about where the shutter speed dial is or the aperture dial is, or you know, you're looking through the viewfinder focusing if you've got a manual focus lens. So it really helps you learn your camera. And so the third reason why I think shooting landscapes can help you as a beginner photographer really has nothing to do about photography, but it just bloody gets you out there. I mean, excuse me, how often are we sitting on our phones just doom scrolling, absolutely doing nothing productive, where if we go out shooting landscapes, it takes us out of the home into beautiful locations. How good do you feel when you go and just look at an ocean for half an hour? How good do you feel when you're walking through, you know, a forest? So the fact that you're going out into these beautiful locations is it's just a great thing for the soul. And that was why I really loved landscape photography, because it took me to all these great locations. So to touch back on how landscape photography can help you in other styles of photography, when I was a wedding photographer, it seemed like the photos that the bride and groom really wanted to print were the landscape style photographs, where you were capturing an amazing scene of their wedding location, and you would just have them as a little sort of subject, you know, in the corner. When it wasn't, you know, they don't want a big photo of themselves on their wall, they want this kind of piece of art. So I really utilize all my landscape photography compositions in my wedding photography. All in all, I think landscape photography is a great way to learn just photography in general, and I absolutely recommend you get out there. It doesn't matter what camera or lens you have, the kit lens will be fine. Some of my favourite photographs were taken on my crappy little 600D with the 18-55 kit lens. Just get out there and learn composition and learn how to use your camera. Anyway, thank you so much. If you got any value from this video, please drop me a subscription and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers, see ya.